Well, so before we get started, anybody that is going to testify, I'll have Ms. Hopkins swear you in. So if anybody's going to talk, you will need to be sworn in. And then I'll also tell you, while you're not being being spoken to, if you would turn your mute button on so we don't have any outside noise while we're discussing each case. So I'd appreciate that.
Joel, did you see my email?
I did. I
I do
saw
have
it
to
even.
slide out of here at 3:45, 3:50.
Well,
So,
I'm hoping we could get done by then.
well,
so.
same.
So,
But just a heads up.
all right. So Kathy, do you want to swear all the folks in?
Well, other than Brian, who else is here?
Steve Kaplan, I probably need to be sworn in.
Yep, Mr. Kaplan does. Is there anybody from either Williams Landscaping and Pavers or Jennifer Watering?
Yeah, Brian.
Okay.
Williams.
Very good. And then Brina Hollis.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, there you are. Okay.
Okay, so is it Steve Kaplan that's here?
Yes, ma'am. And how are you all today?
Good.
Good.
Okay, Alana, are you here as a neighbor or?
Myra. No, it's Myra. It's Myra. I'm a neighbor. I'm the neighbor
Of who?
of Brenda Hollis. I'm a neighbor of hers.
Okay. And what's your last name, Alana?
Well, it's actually Myra Wilson.
Myra Wilson?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, everybody who's going to testify, please raise their right hands and I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the following matter shall be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You.
Okay, yes from everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to call this meeting to order. It is Thursday, June 3rd, 2021. It's approximately 3:04 p.m. We're not holding this at Elyria City Hall. We're still holding our meetings via Zoom. And at this time, is there someone here to call the roll? If not, I can call the roll. I don't know if Mary's here or not. I didn't see her.
I'm here.
Oh, you are?
I'm here.
All right. Why don't you call the roll for us, please?
Joel Fritz,
I'm here.
Timothy Golden,
The present.
Harold Minnick,
He's excused.
Karen Mobert,
Present.
Julianne Sadowski.
Here.
All right. So before we get started again, I'll ask for a motion on the approval of our minutes from Thursday, May 6th, if everybody got them and we're able to review them.
I motion we accept the minutes from May 6, 2021.
And I'll second that.
Been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, minutes are approved. Again, folks, before we get started, you have a right to have a full complement of our board. We have only 4 here out of the 5. That means if you choose to go forward today, you're going to live with our decision, and that decision possibly could be different if there was a 5th person here. You also have the option, if you want to move your case to our next meeting, then we could do that as well. Also, if you want to go forward, I would ask that you accept the fact that we're doing this via Zoom and remotely versus in person at City Hall. Having said both of those things, I will talk about our case presentation format. When we call your case, we're going to ask you to let the board know why you want your variance. And if there's anybody out there that's going to testify for you as well, and they'll be able to testify. If there's anybody that's opposing your variance request, they will be able to voice their opinion as well. We'll ask the city to give us their opinion as it relates to the city's position on your request for a variance. And then there could be some questions and comments from board members. And does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So since we have no old business, we'll start with our first case under new business. It's case number 2021-100. Brenna Hollis 475 10th Street, Elyria, Ohio, 44035, requesting a variance from sections 1148.03A and 1137.15C and B9 of the Elyria codified ordinances. A 4-foot high by 200-foot length chain link fence is being built on the subject property and also onto an adjacent vacant lot prior to approvals. The fence gate located on the vacant lot portion of the site currently swings across the public sidewalk, creating a potential hazard. An accessory structure may not be built on a vacant lot without first having a principal structure such as a home, and fence gates, doors, and other obstructions shall not swing across public sidewalks or any public rights of way. I was reading a little bit of this, and it appears that, and before we even get started, folks, Ms. Hollis, on one of the pages, it looks like are you in the process of turning that, combining those lots into one lot?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, so we've done this almost every month so far. We would not be able to grant your variance. What we would tell you to do is go have that lot combined with your other lot. Once you do that, you probably won't need a variance depending on how you situate your fence. But looking at what your request was, other than any of the gates or anything swinging into a public right of way, you're probably going to be okay. And so
Okay.
that's what we would tell you. And if that's what you're doing, there's no need for a variance. And if you're okay with that, if I were you, I would just withdraw my request for variance since you're going to combine the lots anyway.
Okay,
Is that all right with you?
that is fine with
Do
me.
you wish to withdraw your request for variance?
I do.
Thank you very much. Anybody, you can stay and watch. You can leave. You can do whatever you want. Thank you very much. Okay. Seeing as we've dispensed with the first case on our docket, we're going to call our second case, which is number 2021-11. That's Williams Landscaping and Pavers for Jennifer Watt. I believe it's Watring, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. 137 Fairfield Drive, Elyria, Ohio, 44035, requesting a variance from section 1175 of the Elyria codified ordinances. The proposed driveway extension exceeds the amount permitted by the zoning code by 22%. And our codified ordinances only allow a maximum of 33.3% coverage for that driveway. Who's going to speak for you? Are you going to speak, Jennifer, or is somebody from the landscaping company going to speak for you?
I can speak for myself, but I do have the owner of the landscaping company here.
Okay.
He's Brian Williams.
That's great.
So he can correct me when I don't say technical things properly.
Okay, you can both speak. Tell us why you want your variance.
So I currently live on a curve and have a very pie-shaped yard. So I have pretty much zero front yard, and then my property opens up and all of my yard is in my back behind my house. The way my house is situated on the lot, the current driveway only allows for pretty much 3, maybe 4 cars if they're small, just straight into the driveway and straight out. I have 3 kids who have friends and significant others, and parking on the curve is not a safe long-term solution. So I would like to extend my driveway to the right and then go next to my house with it so that, when you pull in, you can just go up and to the side. I've wandered around the neighborhoods that surround both my development and then 2 developments that are in walking distance from my house. And there are 45 homes that have some type of driveway extension, extra patch, turnaround, backup area, etc. I don't think that what I'm asking for is unreasonable, since I'm trying to do it for the safety of my kids. And, I can't make my front yard any bigger. It is what it is. And unfortunately, just pulling straight in and out is not, it's not enough space for all of the cars that are constantly at my house.
Okay. Mr. Williams, do you want to speak for any reason?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Raymond, what say you for the city?
City does not have a comment on this.
Okay. Is there anybody else out there that wants to speak on this matter? Okay. Well, we need to go through some of these factors here. So
I'm
let's talk
sorry,
about-
Joel,
Yes,
I do have some questions.
okay.
Actually, I'd like to ask Mrs. Wetrig, it appears on the aerial that when you're standing in your front yard, to the right of you, you already have a strip. It almost looks like a paved driveway to the right of your house. Is that correct?
No, that
Oh.
is not correct. That is the proposal of what I would like it to look like. Currently, when you pull in my driveway, it's a very standard, we have a 2-car garage. So 2 wide of straight concrete, straight in from the street into the garage. There is nothing to the left or to the right of the driveway presently. I would like the driveway to go off to the right at a slight angle and then go up parallel next to the garage. So I'm hoping like a pickup truck could park next to the garage, and then my 2 daughters' cars could then go there in addition to the driveway that I currently have.
Okay, I'm looking at the plat map, and I see a yellow line across the where the cul-de-sac, like the rounded areas. So that looks to be to the left. If you're standing in front of the property, you're asking for on the right of the house.
Yes, I am asking for the right. Is there any chance you can show me what you're looking at? Because there is nothing to the left of my house
You have a
except another
fence?
house.
Yellow is a gate marking.
Yeah.
The
You
gate
have a
mark.
fence, right?
Says gate,
Okay,
fence, gate, yeah.
to the left then. Okay, well, that helps. From the aerial view, of course, it's shaded. It almost looked like there was a paved section already to the right. From the aerial view, I didn't have a chance to drive past the house, so that's helpful. I guess you answered the one question I had, is that you do have 3 kids. Do they all have cars, vehicles?
I have 3 kids who will, not all of them have cars yet, but they will all have cars. They all have friends. My husband has a very large family. So we always have people in and out, and I have 2 vehicles myself. My husband has a vehicle and a motorcycle. So between the 5 of us that reside here, plus my mom, who's here constantly for my son, and then Chris's parents, like I said, I mean, it's a revolving door over here between volleyball kids and soccer kids. And like I said, we're on the curve, so it's very deceiving. It looks like I have no front yard, which I kind of really don't, but I'm okay with that because I have a larger property in the back, which is nice for the kids. But they need someplace to park before they can get to the backyard.
Okay, I have a question probably more for Mr. Williams.
Mhm.
Looking at the portion that it looks like you may have, the drawing that you drew, it appears as though you're trying to widen the actual mouth of the driveway by 5.5 feet. Is that accurate?
Correct, yeah. Yes.
Okay. Ray, is that a different part of the ordinances on the mouth width versus where you can put like an extra car slot or something like that? Is that different in the code? I'm
Well,
not-
Joel, if we're talking about at the property line, there's an
Yeah.
ordinance that allows for a maximum of 20 feet at the property line.
Okay. when you, well then, Mr. Williams, if you do that at 5.5 feet, do you know what the width at the road will be?
There, we're not doing it at the width of the road. So the apron will stay the same, but everything else after basically the sidewalk, that's where it's widening at.
Oh, okay, because the way I look at the drawing, it looks like you're gonna widen it right at the mouth of, right where it hits the road, but you're
Yeah,
gonna go up.
No,
past
we
the
stuck
sidewalk.
that would break if that happened.
Okay. So you're not gonna start that until after the sidewalk, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, well, anybody else? Mr. Golden, you have anything to say?
I don't have anything to say, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so let's go through our factors. So are there any special conditions or circumstances that exist which are peculiar to this particular land or structure involved and which are not applicable generally to other lands or structures in the same zoning distance or district? Again, I would probably say yes, only because it is this corner lot and the way Ms. Watring described things, it probably is a little bit special versus another type of lot in that area. Anybody disagree or agree?
I agree.
Okay, so the answer to that is yes. 2, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return or whether there can be any beneficial use of the property without the variance. I would say, no, I think there's still a beneficial use, so I don't think the answer to that would be, given some greater return or something along those lines. I think the property is beneficial just as it is. Does everybody agree or disagree?
Agree.
Okay. Next one is whether the variance is substantial and is the minimum necessary to make possible the reasonable use for land and structures. It doesn't appear to me that it's minimal. It looks pretty huge if you ask me. And if I'm not correct, or if I'm mistaken, it looks like it will take up about 55.5% of the front yard. Is that where we're at, everybody, based on the information that we've gotten?
I agree.
Okay. The next one, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered or whether adjoining properties would suffer substantial detriment as a result of the variance. I don't know that there would be any properties that would, suffer any detriment. And whether this is the essential character of the neighborhood would be altered. There's I know that area, there probably are several houses that might have, extra car concrete slots, things of that nature. This is just, in my mind, a request for something much larger than we have normally granted in the past. Does everybody agree or disagree?
Agree.
Thank you. Next one would be whether the variance would adversely affect the delivery of any governmental services such as water, sewer, trash pickup. I don't believe that would have any effect whatsoever. I believe the answer to that would be no. Agree, disagree?
Agree.
All right. So the next one would be whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restrictions. Most people don't ever even think about checking the zoning restrictions. I know that's part of the factors, but in my mind, that's a really kind of a non-applicable factor if you ask me. Agree or disagree?
I agree.
Next one, whether special conditions or circumstances exist as a result of the actions of the owner. Well, other than she purchased a house that's got a really small backyard, I'd say no, there's no really special conditions that she did. So that would be my answer. Everybody agree or disagree?
Well, actually, I have a correction to that. She has a very large backyard, actually.
No, I understand. What the factor is whether there's any special conditions or circumstances that exist as a result of the owner's actions. I don't think she did anything. I mean, I don't think this hurts or helps. I'm just saying she didn't do anything to create this situation other than buying a house that has a small front yard. Right?
Gotcha.
Okay. All right, next one. Next factor, whether the property owner's predicament feasibly can be obviated through some method other than a variance. No, I think the answer to that is no. And if what she wants to do, there's only one way to do that, and that would be to have a variance. Does everybody agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree.
Thank you. Number 9, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance. Well, I will make this statement. We've granted variances in the past that allow for a greater than a 1/3 coverage of a front yard with a driveway. I don't know that we've ever granted one this large. So that would be my answer to that. I don't think we have to come up with whether that spirit and intent of our zoning requirement would be observed. At this point, at that level, I would say probably not. Does everybody agree or disagree?
Agree.
I agree.
Okay. Number 10, whether the granting of the variance requested will confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by these regulations or other land structures, buildings in the same district. Well, first of all, just based on the size that she wants to make it, I think that would confer some special privilege that maybe the other houses in the area in the same district would not have. But that also goes into the fact that she's got a very, very small front yard and it's a pie shape. Everybody disagree or agree?
That's true.
I agree.
All right, last one. Variance sought is the minimum which will afford relief to the applicant. I don't know that it's the minimum. There may be a ability to somehow, shore that up and not make it as big, but still, create, at least a little more room, maybe not as much room as the applicant wants. But I don't think this is the minimum. Everybody agree or disagree?
Agree.
Okay. Having said all that and going through the factors, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion on case number 2021-11, Jennifer Watring, 137 Fairfield Drive, Elyria, Ohio.
I think at this point, I'll make a motion to accept the variance for the improvement. I can see where it will be beneficial, even for after sale opportunities if you should decide to do that in the future.
Mr. Chairman, I will second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we grant variance 2021-11. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Well, we only have 2 ayes.
Oh, I said aye.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, we have three ayes, and the ayes have it, so your variance is granted. You'll get a letter in the mail.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the last case on our docket and agenda for today. Case number 2021-12, Stephen Kathy Kaplan, 578 Overbrook Road, Elyria, Ohio, 44035, requesting a variance from section 1144.10B of the Elyria Codified Ordinances. The height of the structure is proposed at a calculated 21.5 feet as measured from the existing grade to the finished peak of the truss. The maximum height permitted for an accessory use in an RMD district is 15 feet. Mr. Kaplan, thank you for waiting. Mr. Kaplan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for waiting. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you guys for having me.
Please tell us why you would like this variance.
Number one, we are building model sailboats, and we're also giving junior training classes on sailboats, and we need the height to make the sails work in the area, and the 21 feet is the height we need to do this.
Okay.
And that's permanent. And number two, the land behind the facility or the property is also owned by me, which is Overbrook Farms. The adjacent property is also owned by my son, which used to be the Mr. Doll's house, the Ford dealership. So we're not encroaching and hurting any people around us. And the land that's farther on the other side is on a ravine, which is owned it's almost 3 acres away from this, so there's not any issues with people with having a concern. And the house next to it is my mother's house, which
Yeah.
got sold.
All right. Okay, Raymond, what says the city?
Joel, I actually made a site visit, and due to the depth of the lot, the natural ascending topography and old growth trees, the proposed site is not visible from the street.
Wow.
Oh, it's not visible at all. Did the dog bite you, Joe?
I don't think he heard you.
I said, Joe, did the dog bite you? It's a happy dog. It likes people.
Oh, I have a question. When I looked at the plan, do you have are you putting like a driveway up there, or is it going to come off your driveway? How are you going to get up to this?
Well, if you look at the side there, I donated to the Historical Society. I actually can show it to you right now. So in your grass, instead of carrying up the cutting and the landscape and anything, you basically take this device right here and you put it in your grass and you roll over it. Half the grass has to be wet. So if you ever want to go back there, you can drive back on top of this and the grass grows through it. You will never see this.
What's a panel like that cost?
Well, believe it or not, to go all the way back there, which is roughly, these are like $1.25.
Huh.
This is something that came out a couple years ago. What I did for the Historical Society, when I donated, you actually had to put stone underneath it, and then you put topsoil on. So these, you actually just, they're like Legos. You attach them, and you basically stick it in the ground. You put it on top of the ground, and then you water the ground to get it wet enough, and then you ride over it. It pushes it in, and the grass grows in between there.
Where do you buy that?
This is the name of the product. Right here, True Grid.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it is. So if anybody, I hate to bring this up, but the people that wanted that driveway a few minutes ago,
yeah,
maybe before us, she could have actually bought this and installed it herself, had no permits or anything because it's basically removable. It doesn't harm and it looks like the lawn, and you drive on this just like that.
No kidding.
It's what people, I hate to say this, folks, you know, we at Multi-Link and Campbell's, that's what I do. I innovate stuff. You guys
Sure.
So this is a interesting product, and I looked at it a long time ago, but didn't know they had one that you didn't have to do all the prepper because I would have not done anything.
Sure.
So yeah.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions?
No.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do.
Okay.
For the building department, when measuring the height of this building, do we do the average grade of the property or the grade, or do we measure it directly in front of the building that they want to build?
Tim, Daryl did the review on this, and I have to assume that he went with the average grade.
So with that being said, I'm sorry, I forgot that you were on there. I wasn't sure who was handling it. Then with that being said, and they can't see this building when it's way back there, does their grade drop down?
So there is a little bit of a slope, you would have to put more stuff. So the city wouldn't allow us to put a pole barn in. So they made us, it's required to put a foundation in, a footer and block and loop because of all the restrictions to build what we want to build. So inside it, you would pour the stone to adjust the grade of the block. So there's a very little slope back there. And of course it would drain into the ravine. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Well, partly, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for letting me continue. What I'm saying is from the front of the building to the front property line, would you say your property rises, or do you say that property at the back drops 2-3 feet?
No, it's pretty much stable all the way across. And then of course, when you get way back there, you know, the Black River's back there.
That's where I was going with this.
Yeah, it's a good 5-6 acres away from there. And then there's a ravine. No.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. I think we can go through these
Yeah,
factors.
in there too, you know.
I think we can go through these factors pretty quickly. First factor, whether special conditions and circumstances exist peculiar to the land, I'd say yes. Everybody agree?
Yes.
2, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return, or whether there could be any beneficial use of the property without the variance. I think the answer is yes. It will definitely yield a reasonable return. It's going to enhance the property quite a bit. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Next factor, if I can get to it. Pages are sticking. Whether the variance is substantial and is the minimum necessary to make possible the reasonable use of the land or structures. I think with what Mr. Kaplan just testified to, I say the answer is yes. Does everybody agree?
I agree. Yes.
Number 4, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered or whether adjoining properties would suffer substantial detriment. With what Raymond has told us and what Mr. Kaplan has said and submitted, I'd say the answer is no to that. There will be nothing altered to the neighborhood. Everybody agree?
Yep.
Agree.
Whether the variance, next one, whether the variance would adversely affect the delivery of any governmental services. I think the answer to that is no. Does everybody
No.
agree?
Agreed.
Number 6, whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restrictions. Well, he obviously has some of knowledge because he was told he couldn't put a pole barn. And I'm sure that he was aware of some of those things and that's why he's here. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Agree.
Number 7, whether special conditions or circumstances exist as a result of his own actions. I say that answer is no. Does everybody agree?
Agree.
Next one is whether the property owner's predicament feasibly can be obviated through some method other than the variance. I think the answer to that is no. Everybody agree?
Yes,
Agree.
that's right.
Next one, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance. I believe the answer to that is yes. Agreed.
Yes.
Number 10, whether the granting of the variance requested will confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by these regulations to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. I think the answer is no. Does everybody agree?
Agree.
Okay, and the last one, the variance sought is the minimum, which will afford relief to the applicant. I believe the answer is yes. Does everybody agree?
Agreed.
Agreed.
So the chair will entertain a motion on case number 2021-12, Stephen Kathy Kaplan, 578 Overbrook Road, Elyria, Ohio, 44035.
I motion we accept case number 2021-12 for section 1144.10.
And I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded that we grant the variance in case number 2021-12. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Mr. Kaplan, your variance is granted. You'll get a letter in the mail in the next couple days.
May I have a quick statement?
Sure.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to go out of your way to help me out, and thank you again for your time.
Well, thank you, sir, and we appreciate all you've done for Elyria.
And I will continue, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
It is 3:35 and Julianne needs to get out of here.
Yes.
So the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn to our next ensuing meeting.
I motion we adjourn.
And
I'll second that.
Been moved and second that we adjourn our meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, the ayes have it. Have a nice day, everybody. Somehow I lost everybody's picture, so.
All right. I'll see you.
See you.